Okay, well, I think we've given folks time. We've got a few more joining in, but it looks like it is sort of settled down. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Well, hello, everyone. I am Jason Jones, principal with Cresa, and I'm joined by Kat Kottman, portfolio strategy director. We are co-leaders of a new service offering called Remote Advisory Services, and we are excited to tell you all about it today. As I mentioned, there's a question box on the GoToWebinar application that you can use to ask questions. Please type them in and we will address those at the end. We'll have a Q&A period and there'll be a recording sent out to everyone that you can share with those folks who are not able to make it. Many of you know me as leader of Cresa C3, which is our telecommunications and technology advisory service line. I've been at Cresa for 17 years, and although I started as a real estate advisor, my sole focus now is on leading these two service lines, and I stopped practicing commercial real estate a few years ago. However, Kat Kottman certainly does practice commercial real estate every day as a member of our global portfolio solutions team and has 30 years of experience managing a significant portfolio accounts. So since the start of the healthcare crisis, we've all experienced what it's like to work from home full time. During that time, several questions have started to brew in the commercial real estate industry about work from home. Things like, well, how well did it work, really? And if it continues, to what degree might it continue? Or is it just a temporary response to the health crisis and things will go back to normal? It feels like the underlying sentiment is, I hope so. I sure hope things go back to normal because, after all, isn't this bad for real estate? I mean, working from home means less working at the office, and that means leasing less space. That's not a positive direction. But my friends, I'm here to tell you there's a silver lining. If you're looking for something relevant and meaningful to discuss with your clients and prospects, something to help differentiate you from the competition, something to discuss that does not depend on a lease expiration date, and ultimately something that leads to more opportunity for real estate transactions, then this webinar is for you. Because whether we as commercial real estate advisors have a positive or a negative opinion on work from home, what it's like for us personally, or what we think is personally best for our clients, is actually of secondary importance. What's of primary importance, and I think we will all agree, is our advocacy for our clients, listening to their needs and advocating for them. It's why we're an occupier-only firm. That makes us unique in this industry. Advocacy is the reason our clients hire us. And what is of equal importance is that what our clients think about work from home. What really matters is, what do our clients want for their business to be successful? They need to attract and retain talent. They need to operate effectively, and they especially need to control costs. So that begs the question, what do our clients think about work from home? What I would suggest to you is that every company falls into one of three buckets. Bucket number one is full of companies that do not like work from anywhere. It may be 20%, it may be 80% of companies, we don't know. But for those companies that want all of their employees to come back to the office, for things to go back to normal, we need to help them figure out how to return to work and adjust to social distancing protocols and maybe even help them expand their space. Now going to the other extreme, in bucket number three, are companies who are aggressively pursuing and expanding work from anywhere plans. As they look to the future, they want as few people as possible in the office. And they're loving the idea of using work from anywhere strategies to recruit, to collaborate, and to downsize much of their office space. But in the middle is bucket number two. These are the companies who are saying to themselves, you know, this didn't work out half bad. In fact, we experienced some positives, certainly some negatives, but, you know, let's take a closer look at this. Work from anywhere seems like something we should evaluate more closely. Now, I feel confident that everyone on this call is quite comfortable with the companies in bucket number 1. We don't need to talk about them today. But for the companies who are in bucket number 3, and especially for those in bucket number 2, which is probably the majority, who believe that a remote work strategy might help them support their business goals, if we want to be in the room with a seat at the table to be a part of those discussions about helping meet their business goals, then we need to meet them where they are. If we want to advise them on how real estate strategy supports larger business drivers, then we need to meet them where they are. If we want to help them create compelling office environments that attract and retain talent and help shape their culture, then we need to meet them where they are. Better yet, we need to anticipate their needs and advise them as trusted advisors who think beyond space. What you see on the screen is the landing page of our website. Being able to professionally and skillfully address the topic of remote work strategies is our opportunity to further make good on this promise. So with that in mind, let's hear what some leaders of companies who are making news about remote work are saying about work from home to get a finger on the pulse of the market. One CEO said, over the next 5 to 10 years, about 50% of our people could be working remotely. He went on to say, we're going to be the most forward-leaning company on remote work at our scale. That was Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, obviously, 45,000 employees. Another CEO said, office centricity is over. We cannot go back to the way things were. This isn't a choice. This is the future. That was Toby Lutke, the CEO of Shopify. Another CEO said, I have a policy where no one is required to come into the office. Everyone is enabled to work from wherever they want, where they can be the most productive. That's Bill McDermott, CEO of ServiceNow, 11,000 employees. And then finally, one leader said, we believe the way of working in the future will be one in which working virtually will be the new normal, at least for most of the work we lead. That's Suresh Kumar, CTO of Walmart, 10,000 technology employees. So that's what a few leaders are saying, but what about other leaders and their employees? In the wake of the healthcare crisis, a flurry of surveys were conducted. One of those was by Gartner. Gartner is one of the world's leading IT research and advisory companies. They did a survey of 371 CFOs where 74% said they plan some degree of shift to remote work. PricewaterhouseCoopers did a CFO survey, 871 CFOs, 49% said remote work is here to stay. IFMA, International Facilities Managers Association, did a global survey with Global Workplace Analytics, 2,865 responses. 40% said they'd like to continue at least 3 days a week. That's over half the time of remote work. Cornet did a survey, 163 members. 66% responded that they have a more positive view of remote work. And then back to the IFMA survey, and this is the most telling of all. 70% of the leaders surveyed said their teams perform the same or better. This is the key indicator of the future, because in the past, before the health crisis, the number one roadblock to remote work strategies was the manager saying, how can I manage someone I can't see? There was a great deal of discomfort and reluctance to take the risk on remote work. Although the technology has been there for many years, the acceptance by many of the managers, not all, but many, was not there. How do we take advantage of a newfound culture of acceptance for remote work in order to, on the defense, minimize expenses and the threat to business continuity, but play an offense to maximize productivity, talent attraction and retention, and financial results? Which leads to a follow-on question, which is, well, how do we quantify the benefits? And what are the challenges? So our board of directors at Cresa realized that we needed to respond to the market and address these questions and a growing interest in remote work. We needed to be able to show the market that we're forward-looking advisors who think beyond space. So Mindy Saffer, who was a board member and managing principal in our DC office, volunteered to lead a task force. She reached out to many members of Cresa who have lots of experience with the company and broad representation of our skills. I was contacted due to my leadership on the Strategic Leadership Council and 17 years at Cresa, but as importantly, because I lead, as I mentioned, Cresa C3, our telecommunications and technology service line. That service line leverages the technology that enables a remote workforce, so it was a natural fit. Other members of the team have a range of local clients, portfolio clients, and Jason Weary is one of our project manager leaders who heads up the Project Management Leadership Committee. We got special help from many members at corporate headquarters, including Lisa Fry, who leads Global Portfolio Solutions, and of course, Jim Underhill, our CEO. So the task force turned its attention to a central question. And that question is, how do we capitalize? How do we capitalize on this opportunity? We can see it's coming. How do we show the market that we're forward thinkers and true advocates for the occupier in all circumstances? Where is our opportunity to gain market share? And what are the possible benefits of our firm developing expertise in remote work strategy consulting? And we came up with 4 benefits. The first is get a seat at the table. We know discussions about continuing and optimizing remote work are going to happen with or without us. Let's be sure they happen with us, not without us, not with a competitor, because remote work conversations lead to real estate transactions. How can you plan for the workplace of your people if you don't know where your people are going to work and how often they're going to be working there? How can you design the office and determine its footprint without evaluating these precursors? Next, we want to win new business. Remote work is a relevant topic on the minds of business leaders. It's also a corporate strategy tool that helps companies recruit and retain talent. But candidly, it also has the possibility of saving money on reduced real estate space. Cresa is the only major real estate firm that has the freedom to advocate for the use of less space because we put our clients first ahead of the landlord. We are the tenant's advantage. CFOs like to hear strategies for saving money. And if they're going to take less space anyway, let's have them take less space with us as their advisor, not the competition. This should lead to net new business for us. And finally, remote work strategy is a conversation you can have that is not dependent on a lease expiration. How great is that? We're always looking for this, and here's our chance. It's relevant, it's topical, and everyone has recent experience with it, personal experience. Differentiate yourself. Preempt your competition from using this as an in to approach your clients. This is a great opportunity for you to demonstrate that you think beyond space. Companies have the opportunity to rethink how they work and reimagine the workplace, and you can be at the center of it as a trusted advisor who places their needs first and thinks beyond space. So to help you have this conversation with your prospects and clients, we want to give you a framework for a new paradigm of office space, something we call Workplace 2.0, and it incorporates remote work strategy as a critical component. A successful workplace is built on 4 key elements. The first is talent. You build a workplace to attract and retain the best and the brightest. Next is culture. You use a workplace to stimulate creativity and innovation to accelerate growth. Third is technology. You leverage technology in the workplace to facilitate collaboration and drive productivity. And fourth is the physical space itself. You design an office floor plan in a building and create a look to enhance productivity and employee satisfaction. The concept of the original Workplace 1.0 was all about the inside of the workplace, and that accomplished these goals. But it's this 4th element that just got exploded. Instead of viewing physical workplace space as what is at the office, a new paradigm has evolved. And that new paradigm views space in a much different light than before. For many people, the workplace is no longer a single shared location. Instead, the workplace has been transformed into more of an idea. And that idea is a flexible, convenient, and on-demand network of spaces that allows freedom of movement and also purposeful collaboration. Whether home, shared office, or a third location, which could be a remote office, coffee shop, hotel, your car, the new paradigm leverages mobile technology that is available at any time, anywhere, and on any device. The new paradigm combines the concept of physical space with purposeful methods of collaboration, whether in-person collaboration or through digital mediums. So what happens is we move from not only designing an office plan to enhance productivity and employee satisfaction, but also deciding what is the best location, home, office, other, that's flexible, convenient, and on demand. The paradigm still makes use of all the critical elements that make for a successful workplace, but now they're viewed through a different lens. So the ultimate definition of Workplace 2.0 is both people working at flexible, convenient, and on-demand locations, office, home, third location, while choosing between in-person and digital mediums of collaboration, and creating shared office environments in order to maximize productivity, talent, and financial results. Workplace 2.0 is not a place or a building. Instead, it's a culture. It's a spirit of freedom to use the right tool at the right time that works for the best for that specific person or a specific team performing specific tasks at that time, which changes depending on the job and the situation. It's dynamic, not static. Every company will implement Workplace 2.0 differently. The percentage of people who work full-time, part-time, or none of the time at the office or the home is going to be different for each company, each department, even each team. Many signs are pointing to an increase in the number of people working part-time or full-time outside of the traditional shared office. However, there are concerns among leaders of many organizations about the potential dangers or drawbacks of remote work. One CEO said, "What does burnout look like? What does mental health look like? What does that connectivity and the community building look like?" That was Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, 150,000 employees. Even those who were embracing aggressive remote strategy recognize that remote work has its limitations. You may recall an earlier CEO quoted supporting remote work. Well, he also said, "However, we acknowledge that certain jobs work better in teams and certain people are in environments where they need an office to go to get a little peace of mind." Again, that was Bill McDermott, CEO of ServiceNow. Another CEO of a major company said, "We believe we'll end up in a hybrid model. Employees will have access to a hotel in the office where they can come in and collaborate, maybe a day or two a week, and then other days they'll work from home." That's Kurt Walker, CEO of Nationwide Insurance, 27,000 employees. And additionally, Nationwide announced on April 29th that it plans to shut down 5 of its major offices by November of this year, and more of its employees will be working from home permanently. And then another CEO seemed conflicted when he said at one point, "Can I see a future where part of every week, certainly part of every month, a lot of our employees will be at home?" Absolutely. But then he said, "I'm still a huge fan of mentoring, bonding, and having both teams together and creative surges that come from having people working together." That was James Gorman, CEO of Morgan Stanley, 80,000 employees. Now, he went on in this interview to show further indecision when he was asked a very specific question about his office space footprint. He was asked, "Is it a natural conclusion that Morgan Stanley will not need as much of a footprint?" His replies are telling. He said, "I think we will have less footprint. I think that is highly likely. We have proven we can operate with effectively no footprint." But then in the very next sentence, he said, "On the other hand, I want most people in the office most of the time." And in his third quote, he equivocates and strikes a bit of indecisive ground by saying, "I think what has informally been done will become much more of a formal structure that we probably evolve to. See, this last quote is indicative of a reaction, not a proactive plan for remote work. A rationalized strategy would take the uncertainty out of his three positions. We believe this is a common sentiment among corporate leaders. They find themselves in a position of uncertainty right now. So given this uncertainty, we believe this leads to questions that companies will be asking themselves as they move forward. These are the same questions that remote advisory services will help to answer. We will help them answer who will work at home, who will work at the office, and how often. What are the considerations of a remote work plan? What are the quantifiable benefits and challenges? And how does this affect our office design and footprint? So it's with this client perspective in mind that we developed a very specific description for remote advisory services. Remote advisory services helps companies understand the considerations, the benefits and the challenges of a remote work strategy and how it affects their real estate. We help create a plan to maximize productivity, financial benefits, talent acquisition, retention, and the investment in real estate. And we help implement the plan, leveraging human resources, technology, and real estate solutions. So, what exactly does remote advisory services advise on? What are the considerations of a work from anywhere strategy? Well, it's a long laundry list of items that companies should not skim through lest they miss something important that might come back to bite them later. Many companies have never gone through such a list and are not aware of its detail. In addition, they don't know what they don't know. Each one of these items is a project in itself. There's so much detail. The message to our clients and prospects is, look, your short-term response to the health crisis may not be suitable for a longer-term strategy. There may be a more optimal way to implement a sustainable and advantageous remote work strategy. These are the considerations. Note that we include real estate implications of a remote work strategy. This is how we tie remote work planning to real estate strategy and ultimately to downstream real estate transactions.